Hi there, my name is Jamil Dabir, and in this video, I'm going to review an edX course called Introduction to Linux LFS101x by the Linux Foundation. Let's get started. My presentation is going to be composed of 4 parts. First, I'm going to talk a little bit about why I decided to take this course. Next, I'm going to discuss why I chose to take this course with edX and the Linux Foundation. Next up, I'm going to share my personal thoughts and opinions on this course, and then we will conclude. So, why did I choose to take Introduction to Linux? I chose to do this because I wanted to learn more about Linux. In my past, I've actually installed Linux on a couple computers. I've played around with a Raspberry Pi, and I always just kind of lacked a bit of confidence when I was using Linux. I didn't fully understand what was going on with Bash, and I really wanted to learn more about the terminal and the command line and how that worked. I was also interested in free and open source software. I've been developing some software myself, and I'm curious why people do free and open source software. Okay, so why did I choose to take a course with edX and the Linux Foundation? So I chose to do this because I think both of this platform and the Linux Foundation have good credibility. So edX looks like it's one of the major online learning platforms. I know there's Coursera and Udemy, etc., but edX is another big one. And edX is actually associated with Harvard and MIT, which are prestigious universities. So that adds to their credibility, in my opinion. The Linux Foundation has a board of directors, which is made up of representatives from just about every major tech firm. And in addition to that, the actual original creator of Linux, whose name is Linus Torvalds, is also a fellow at the Linux Foundation. So I believe the confluence of these factors gives credibility to the course and the platform that it's delivered on. What were my thoughts on this course? I think this was a really good course, and I phrase it as it's as good as it can be. I think it's a really good course, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about some of the weaknesses and growth areas and challenges with taking this kind of course. And then I'm actually going to talk about the strengths. And in my opinion, there are far more strengths than weaknesses. And I think it's a great course overall. But let's get into the next section where we talk about some areas of where there were some challenges. Okay, so in my opinion, this course targets a bit too broad of an audience. It starts off like pretty easy. You're going to start off learning how to change the background of your Linux GUI, your user interface, that type of thing. And then it's going to ramp up to the point where you're actually going to be doing programming in Shell, which is a bit of a tough language. It's not 100% intuitive. It's not super readable. So this course has some tough concepts and it has some super easy concepts. So overall, it was a good level of difficulty for me, but I think if you're going to make kind of a tough course, group a lot of the tougher material together, and they could maybe make like a Linux Essentials course or something where people learn how to change the background and just get comfortable with the GUI in Linux, the graphical user interface, because most of the stuff related to the graphical user interface was pretty easy. And then once you got into Bash and shell scripting and all of that, it got quite a bit more difficult. This is not what I'm about to say. I'm going to talk about the default packages and Linux versions. So this is not a reflection of the course, but it still represents a challenge for the course and anyone taking the course. So Linux versions and the default packages change all the time. What this means is you might find some instructions in the course saying, hey, run this command in Bash, and it might not work for you. And it might not work for you because you're missing a particular package. and you're going to have to go and you're going to have to download that package, and there won't be any instructions in the course telling you how to do that. And in my opinion, that's perfectly okay, because I think it's representative of the real world, right? You won't have someone holding your hand the entire way through everything at work or in life. So this is just kind of how Linux works, though. There's a ton of different versions. There's a ton of different distributions. There's a ton of different packages. Some versions have some packages. Others won't have those packages by default. So you might need to go out and grab the bull by the horns, do some Google searching, do some research to figure out how to get the packages you need in order for you to complete all of the exercises in this course. The last point here is just kind of carrying on along the same lines. You're going to take this course probably because you want to take it, because you want to learn more about Linux. You're just getting a certificate out of it. It's not going to, doesn't seem like it's going to lead to a degree or anything like that. In the intro to the course, they said these skills that you learn and learning Linux is highly valued by a lot of employers. But this course is more of a guide, and it's not someone holding your hand the whole way through. At times it is, but you'll have to do a lot of research on your own. Okay, let's get into the strengths. And there were tons of strengths, and overall, I think this was a really great course. So for me, personal strengths, I'm a recent computer science graduate, and I think most of the content was perfect for me. Seemed most of it was just at about the right difficulty. A little bit of it was too easy. Like I was mentioning, I am not someone, I don't feel like I need help changing the background on a desktop or something like that. A guy like me should just be able to figure that out. And yeah, it's kind of a trivial challenge. But bash scripting and shell scripting and learning the text editors and all those types of things in this course was really good. This course also covered a really broad range of topics. So if you have an interest in how operating systems work, you're going to learn a little bit about how operating systems work. You'll learn a bit about the file structure in Linux. You'll learn about bash. You'll learn about shell scripting. You'll learn about security. You'll learn about Linux text editors, which are a little tougher than it sounds. So it's got a really great range of topics. And these next few points just go to demonstrate the amount of passion that went into the course. So there were video demonstrations in the course, and those video demos are like really well done. They guide you through really carefully, show you how to accomplish some of the more challenging tasks in Linux. So the video demos are really good. The course instructions, I'm talking about written parts of the course, I found them to be clear and concise. And just a little pro tip, if you're going to take this course, read everything carefully. So when I say clear and concise, that means there's no filler. There's no fluff in there. It's every word matters, every sentence matters. Read things slowly, make sure you understand it, because it's all pretty valuable information in my opinion. Another thing I found in this course that, for me anyways, was new, and I thought it was innovative and just showed how passionate they were, is they had these AWS, it's like Amazon Web Service. They had virtual terminals. So when you're doing your little bash commands, it's all set up in a controlled environment. So all those issues I was mentioning before about packages and different Linux distributions, they basically eliminate all of that confusion by using these virtual terminals. I think it's cool. I think it's a great way to simplify things for people, to make things a little easier, guarantees that your commands will work. Only drawback is it's not representative of real life, but it's nice for things to just work sometimes and for everyone to just have a baseline of, we know these commands will work if the system's configured properly. So was this course worth the money? In my opinion, it is. So it's $200 course on edX. I got a discount, applied for financial aid as an individual, and I got 90% off, so it cost me $20. So for me, I think it's really worth it. The $200 price tag, I think, is appropriate if someone has the money to spend. I've taken online courses that cost quite a bit more and very similar style of content, very similar level of quality. And in addition, if someone's doing corporate training or something and they need to get a whole bunch of people up to speed on Linux, give them a little intro. I think this is worth it at the $200 price tag. I think it's pretty reasonable. If you're a real penny pincher, I think most of the info here could be gotten off of Google. But for me, I really like the course as kind of a guide, and the $20 in my case was definitely worth it. Okay, so overall, I'm glad I took the course. I thought it was really worthwhile. Thought it was a great guide. It helped me improve my confidence with Linux. I know before this, when I was working with Linux, I kind of felt like I was just sort of blindly putting things into the terminal and not really understanding what I was doing. So it's nice to have that knowledge and that confidence, just kind of understanding what you're doing, and you're not following directions blindly. It's not the best way to learn things, to improve. And I'm planning on doing a follow-up video fairly soon. I'm just going to go through some of my major lessons learned from taking this course, and just to share some really good Linux tips. So with that, thank you for taking the time to watch, and have a great day.